Please be advised that Little Miss Recap contains adult language. Hey everyone, Amy here. Again, thank you so much for supporting our Sister Wives content. This episode, we are so pleased to welcome the Sister Wives professor, Dr. Adam. If you have not heard his show, I suggest you check it out. It's amazing. It's a nice, I think, smarty pants look at the nonsense that is the Browns through kind of an academic lens, which is really a nice, welcome point of view in the Sister Wives universe. Also, I just want to let you know that because I am a ridiculously not talented sound engineer, my mic and my sound in this episode is not great. Amanda and Dr. Adam sound great, and I sound not so great. It gets better as you go on, but the beginning's a little rough, so bear with me. I switched to a different mic, didn't work, so I'm back to my old tried and true. Finally, if you haven't already and you want to hear more Sister Wives content, including all of our episodes regarding season 18, which were an hour and a half almost each week, please jump on our Patreon, Supercast, or Apple subscriptions. The link is in the show notes. And finally, if you can, leave us a review. If you can't support us by jumping onto the paid feed, we appreciate those of you who just share the pod or leave us a review. That is more appreciated than you know. All right, thanks so much and enjoy the episode.
But Shut your mouth and let me talk to you for a minute. No. You won't. You keep cutting me off. No. I don't expect you to back me up anymore. Don't you dare point your finger at me. I've been here day long, in and out, for all these years. No. You stay and talk. I'm done listening to you. You stay and talk. No. I'm not going to, because you're not listening. You're not listening to me. And I'm not going to. Okay, so we're done. Goodbye. You. Shut it off.
Hi everyone, welcome to Little Miss Recap, the podcast where we can safely mark ourselves safe from the manosphere.
We can, thank God.
We can.
And anyone else in Cody's world, potentially not, but we can.
Today, guys, we are so happy to have Dr. Adam from Sister Wives Professor. I'm just going to call you the Sister Wives Professor.
That sounds good. That's fine by me.
Okay. All right. No, that's too long. I think I'm just going to call you Dr. Adam, which is your name.
I've been called
you going out on a limb there.
I've been called way worse things than that today alone. So whatever you want to do, all those options are fine.
I've been called way worse than that by my own children as I'm trying to make them dinner or fold their laundry for them. So yeah, I gotcha. Guys, we're here today. It's Amy, it's Amanda, it's Adam. We're here to chat season 18. All things Sister Wives, right? We're gonna, Amanda, you wanted to pick out some pivotal moments that we were gonna run by Dr. Adam.
Yes.
And get his expertise. So, Dr. Adam, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and your podcast?
Okay, sure. Thank you so much. So my name is Adam. I am a real life professor of interpersonal and family communication at a university somewhere on the planet that will remain nameless. And
Harvard.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You know, go with that. Please don't email communication professors at Harvard because I don't want to do that to anybody. Please don't do that. No. Think low. I don't want to say no. Screw it. Just think lower. Yeah.
Think not Harvard. So you are a communications professor at not Harvard.
Exactly. Okay. That's actually what it says on my business cards. Weirdly, which. And here,
everyone
told me that was a waste of money, and here we go, proving them wrong. So, yeah, and I am a 10-year plus follower of I don't say fan because I don't even think fan is accurate anymore. I'm more just, I cannot not pay attention to Sister Wives.
No, it's a train wreck we can't look away from.
Yeah, I've been involved with the Brown family longer than I've known my wife, so it's really...
Same. Well, husband, but same.
Yeah. And so my podcast is called The Sister Wives Professor, and I sort of do I do a recap, but also more of a body language and communication analysis and sometimes I fold in like some communication theory and academic concepts, but not to the point that it's hopefully dry or boring. I just try to do, I've talked about this before, but so many people, including both of you, do what you do so well. I thought if I'm going to do a podcast, I have to do something that's not just like a pale imitation of everyone else. And so I try to be just a little bit different and contribute because there's room for obviously everybody to do this.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate it, and I especially appreciate when you work in like a little random reference. Like I got your Wheel of Time reference the other day. I was
Mhm.
like, got you.
Yep.
Um, no, I agree. Like Amanda and I, when we started, I was saying like I am obsessed with interpersonal dynamics, and I am just
Same.
obsessed with how as a writer, how people respond to one another, the dynamics in a family, and that's how we kind of look at things. Like, yes, Cody is trash, and we have a lot of fun with that, but we're also like really interested in how these women are acting with one another, why they're feeling the way that they're feeling, and stuff like that. So, I really love your podcast.
Yeah,
It's
I do too.
really it's a welcome addition to the, I don't want to say manosphere, brownosphere.
The Brownosphere, the General Brown Family Podcast Syndicate.
There we go.
Yeah, much like my local Sam's Club, I am no longer allowed in the manosphere. So,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry. I mean, I'm
Are
glad for
you?
you.
Are
You seem
you?
way too nice to be there.
Yeah, I know.
You
Let's
probably
just
think
leave it at
your
that.
wife
Yeah, I got to protect
smart,
my brand. I
autonomous
got to be
person
careful what I
too.
say here. Yeah, not a
Well, so
fan. Not a fan of that.
let me ask you just a general question. Why do you think people are so obsessed with this show?
Well, there's a couple different things. I think reality TV isn't that different than true crime because I think both of those things allow people to experience aspects of life that we know are out there, but we don't want to be polygamous. We don't want to have our family fall apart. So you get to kind of
Speak for
vicarious.
yourself, Dr. Adam.
Fair enough.
Amy said she'll take me as a sister wife. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Fair enough. Well,
Yeah.
okay. Most of us don't want to be married to Cody Brown.
Fair,
Okay, yes, fair.
100%.
Done.
Not even the women who were married to him want to be
Yeah.
married to him anymore.
Yeah. There may literally be no one at this point who really wants to. But you get to kind of experience vicariously things that are just different, right? Or interesting. I was thinking about this as I was watching Welcome to Plathville like today,
Mm,
and I was like,
Mm,
I'm like, why am I so captivated by this? And it's because it's just so different from my experience. And it's almost like what they talk about being a grandparent, where it's like, yeah, I get to be with the baby, but then I get to put the baby back and then I'm done. It's
yes,
kind of like that
yes, yes.
sort of thing. And also, the great thing about Sister Wives in particular, and why I think Sister Wives has such a devoted fan base, is it's like you mentioned Wheel of Time. It's not that different from stuff like that, as there's, for lack of a better term, like Brown family like lore to it.
mhm.
Yeah.
Like if you dig in, you can find it's rabbit hole after rabbit hole of bankruptcies, fraud, the way people grew up, what their parents were like, what their siblings were like. That brown kid dynamics are coming out that maybe we'll talk about, maybe we won't, but aren't necessarily always super positive. There's so much stuff. The show is like 5% at most of what's out there, and
Yeah.
that breeds community, which you all know
Yeah.
even better than I do. Is the only thing better than having a niche interest is sharing that niche interest with other people.
Yeah, and I do agree. I think there's something to having like, as opposed to something like The Bachelor, right? Where the cast changes all the time, or 90 Day Fiance. Like, I feel like I grew up with these people.
Yeah.
Like, I became parents with these people. I know them. They are part of my life. They're part of my history. So, yeah, I agree. There is something to that. I
But
mean,
what's
go ahead,
Go ahead,
Amanda.
Amy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, finish your thought.
No, I was just going to ask you what you thought about it.
Oh, hey, perfect segue. What I find really interesting is that like the people like us who have been watching this since the jump, who are, borderline obsessed with it, who know way too much about these people. I mean, we joked for a while that I have a PhD in sister wives. Like I don't know why I have this encyclopedic knowledge of these
He
yozos, but
really
here it
does.
is.
Hmm.
But what's interesting is like I don't realize that other people don't necessarily live in this world. So I've been telling Amy, I've been mentioning on the podcast, my best friend Wendy started watching Sister Wives like this summer when she knew I was podcasting about it. Had never watched any of it. She's like a Kardashian girly. Like, I don't understand what's happening there. Anyway, she starts watching. So she'd occasionally be like, I think I like Robin. I'm like, no,
No,
nope,
not
no, you
allowed.
don't.
Mm-mm.
And then she'd be
You're
like,
wrong.
Cody seems like a good dad. I'm like, no, that won't last. And then when Leon came out the first time, Wendy was like, Robin was so great. I'm like, was she? I mean, she was
Amanda, can I send
really
Wendy
great.
a message real quick?
Sure. Shame. Yeah, that's fair. But I said, and actually she wants to start listening to us, so this will be well timed. She didn't want to listen until she had watched all the things.
If I get through this podcast without one of those, I am going to be so happy.
But it's so fun. Anyway, so I'm like, yeah, they were good, but I think when Leon came out, Wendy's like, who's Leon? And it like doesn't occur to me that this, if you're
They
not
don't
like
know.
obsessed with this, the number of like random Facebook groups I'm in that people are talking about this show and they're still like, who's Leon? I'm like, have you been trapped under a rock for a year? Like where are you? But they probably have interests that are more
For
meaningful.
people who don't think that McKelty had her babies yet.
Oh yeah, because we haven't seen it. Never mind that Ace and Archer are like 2 now. That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. I think it would be fun to start our discussion of season 18 with what I'm calling the greatest moment of history ever captured on film. And that is the fight between Cody and Janelle in Janelle's apartment.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty great.
In case you're, hold on, I have it.
But I've shut your mouth and let me talk to you for a minute. No. You won't. You keep cutting me off. No. I don't expect you to back me up anymore. Don't you dare point your finger at me. I've been here day long, in and out, for all these years.
What does that mean?
You stay and talk. You stay and talk. No, I'm not going to, because you're not listening. You're not listening to me. And I'm not going to. Okay, so we're done. Goodbye. You.
Oh, and then
Shut it off.
Shut it off.
Brilliant. I mean, Dr. Adam, I have made this the intro to my show. I watch it constantly. Some might say it's in my spank bank. I'm not confirming nor denying that. But I do absolutely love this moment of film. What were your thoughts when you saw that?
Well, it's funny because it goes back to your earlier question of why do we watch this? Like, who hasn't either had that conversation or especially wanted to say exactly what Janelle said to your version of Cody or versions or whatever that is, of just, I have been suppressed and put in within boundaries that, maybe I consented to, but like I'm done with them and I'm just gonna let you have it. And Janelle's not even like mean. Janelle is just asserting herself.
Yeah.
Like she's not degrading him. She's not insulting him. She's just like, no, you're going to do this. And Cody just goes like full, like his I talk about like vocalics and cadence a lot. And I'm not up to season 18. Cody sounds like every toddler that doesn't want to go to preschool. No, I don't.
No.
And I'm not going to go to preschool. It's Play-Doh day. It's like, holy crap. Like, get some Nilla wafers and sit down, you freak show. Like, it's incredible. But
he's a lunatic.
He's a very... Okay, so I'm known for being like kind of holistic, shall we say, about things. And that's partly because I'm in the first few seasons when people haven't just like digivolved into their worst possible selves. But Cody is a hurt, damaged person from long before this show ever started. Like, he's got some stuff he cares, and I'm not I'm get in line with every other human being on the planet,
right?
You know what I mean?
He's walking daddy issues.
Yeah, and all of us on this podcast, listening to this podcast, have pain we don't deserve. That sucks, and I hate that. But we are not, as I call Cody, the human divorce. We're not that person.
You're not wrong.
And so I think listening to Janelle, it's because we've seen Janelle, and people debate about every person on the show, right? There are people that are pro Janelle and anti Janelle, but I think anybody can look at that and go like, this is someone who's had enough. And we love to see people we identify with have enough and we get catharsis through that, right? Because we don't get to experience that as much as maybe we want to.
Well, and it's so fascinating to see this coming from Janelle, because
Mhm.
Janelle just has always been the silent soldier. So this is another question that I have. I want to throw this out to you guys. When we think of polygamists, right, we think of men who traditionally attract or collect or choose women who they know will go along to get along, keep sweet, that whole thing. Cody chose three kind of strong women. And in the beginning season, Amanda and I talk about this all the time. In the beginning season, we see things in Cody where he wants them to be autonomous. He wants them to be independent. He wants them to work. He wants them to get an education. Do we think that that is part of his psyche where he is attracted to women like that? Like, what is he doing? I don't know what, like, I'm not a psychologist, obviously. So I don't understand. Did he think he was going to break the mold and then he met Robin who fit into the mold and he's like, "Oh, thank God, this is so much easier. I'm doing this."
This is so much easier. I think it's two things. One, she did what he wanted. She was willing to bow, whatever he wanted. He wanted the walls to be blue. She was going to buy blue paint. Like, no questions asked. And I think he just genuinely fell in love, and he had never really been in love before. And Amy and I have talked about this before. Adam, I don't know if you've heard this, but we've both been married before, and we both had this experience with our current spouses of like, oh, this is how this is supposed to feel.
When
This
you're
is
not
what
21 falling in love. Yeah. Yeah.
right, exactly.
Mhm.
When you're, hopefully a little older and a little wiser, or at least
Yeah.
definitely a little older. I don't know if I'm wiser, but I'm older.
I think you're right. I think part of it too is being removed from like the AUB culture. I think
Yeah.
he
Mhm.
felt kind of more liberated to pursue more like monogamist adjacent stuff and then kind of basically full on monogamy just with like satellite wives around him, which even that's not that, but even that's not that uncommon in their culture, right? To
True.
have like the wife and then just the ones that
Yeah.
are around for biblical reasons, literally biblical, not,
Literally for biblical reasons.
yeah. And I think Cody just didn't know what he could have until he had it. And like you two are alluding to, if not outright, like I get that. Like that part I get.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's not an easy situation to navigate. However, he did sign up to navigate it. And I don't know about you two. You've kind of touched upon this a little bit in your podcast. I've heard it, but I don't. I'm not upset with Cody so much for falling in love with Robin and then looking at these other women and go, God, like, gosh, I don't know if I can do this anymore. It's that
Right.
he just didn't have the guts to admit it to
Yep.
anyone other than maybe Robin privately.
Not even that, he turned it and
Yeah,
gaslit them to make it their fault that
Right.
they weren't conforming to Robin. So therefore he couldn't be with them anymore. It was really gross.
right. Like if Cody and I said something similar about Mary, the way Mary handled her catfishing, and I don't want to get too off topic, but I don't judge Mary for being deprived of affection and validation and going
Yeah.
to find that somewhere else. People do that every day. Was that the
Yeah.
right or wrong way to go about it is up for debate, but I can understand intellectually and emotionally why she would do that. The thing that is frustrating for me about Mary is Mary didn't own it. She never just
Mhm.
said like, look, I wanted to be in love. I wanted to feel sexy. I wanted to feel wanted. I found that and it was somebody manipulating me. But she didn't, at least in the show, come out and just sort of own it that way. And Cody, I'm not comparing what happened to Mary. Cody is just on a whole completely different level. Let me be very, very clear. But Cody's like the Hulk version of that, where it's just like, yeah, he just, he fell in love and he got kind of dick dumb over Robin, I think, too.
Mhm.
And he had all these things that he didn't know he could have, didn't know he wanted. And I think it was just a slow erosion process with everyone else. And you can't discount the willing and able to have more children thing because that's so culturally important to them too.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah, I think that I was asked recently what was the deal breaker for the Brown family. Was it the show or was it Robin?
Mhm.
And my answer was kind of, I don't think you can separate the two because I don't think there would be a
Mm-mm.
show without Robin because I think that's how they got
Agreed.
the show sold.
Yeah.
But,
Agreed.
I think
I
it was just going to happen.
we've talked a lot about like, people have thought as we've gone through season 18 that we're like somehow turning into Mary fans and Mary stands. And it's like, no, 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 we're not at all. We're just really pleased that she's finally like saying the quiet part out loud. She's getting real snarky. She's kind of getting a little funny. But I also have a lot of empathy for her around the catfish thing, not just because Cody, like, fucked off to Robin's house across the cul-de-sac, never to be seen again, but also she's lived her entire life in a culture that values you for one thing,
Right.
and that's
Yeah.
making more people, and she couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And she got either, low key or high key punished for that all of her life by him.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
And
clearly it's not a him
she took
problem,
it
because he
on
can make babies with everybody else.
and she took it out on everyone around her.
She did.
Right.
Yeah. Which is, I do think there is a path to redemption for Mary. I don't think there's a path to redemption for Cody. I just don't, in the viewer's eyes, I mean,
Yeah.
not for me. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Well, I laid out a very specific and long and complicated path to redemption that involved throwing surprise parties for Gabriel every year, and there was a lot. There was a lot.
It's the 95 thesis of the Brown redemption arc. But let's go back to the fight, because we're insanely obsessed with this fight.
Yeah.
Do you think, Adam, that when Cody walked into that room, Janelle knew they were going to have that fight that day, based on like how she was acting?
I think that because I did rewatch a lot of this stuff in preparation for this podcast. I think I say this all the time on my podcast, and I want to say it here too for folks that don't know me. My interpretation is no more valid than yours. So I'm just throwing stuff out there. I think she went into it thinking it was a possibility. Like, I think she had that in the chamber for a while and
Mhm.
was like, I'm ready to assert myself, but I'm not going to just go into this pick in a fight. But Janelle was ready to go. Janelle was not looking for a fight by any means, but Janelle, her whole demeanor, and I want to know if you two agree with this, her whole demeanor to me was like, I have found my inner strength and I am
Yep.
done pretending that I haven't. So let's see where this goes with that. Like, my boundaries exist now and I'm going to enforce them. And I think she felt, okay, she just had to keep pushing him because she's like, no, you're not going to, you know what I mean? That was all she
Right.
was doing. Like I said, she wasn't ad hominem attacking Cody saying, well, you're a bad husband,
Mm-mm.
you're a bad dad, you're
Yeah.
mistreating. She was just like, no, you're going to talk to me. Like, she's asserting herself. And then Cody, like, no, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
I loved watching the fight when we had seen the previews for it. First of all, the fact that we got it on episode 3 still just boggles my mind.
Insane.
But I loved the fact that we didn't know that he came back in to have even more of a temper tantrum. Like, he goes to leave, and then he's like, "Oh wait, no, I'm not done." Smashing my hands against the wall.
Calculated with
Do
that
you
stuff. He's so
notice
calculated.
too, like when he's being attacked here, and when he's being attacked when Christine announces she's leaving, and he's doing knife to the kidneys.
Oh, can we talk about that?
He
Sure.
can't sit. He can't sit. He always has to stand when he's being attacked. Like, it's just he can't sit down.
If you watch The Knife and the Kidneys, because I have watched The Knife and the Kidneys like 500 times.
The kidney patio, yeah, it's one of my favorite things.
He gets up, he starts talking, he looks at the camera, he moves over to where there's a clearer shot of him.
Yeah.
And again, folks, I do this for a living. That man had that prepared. He had rehearsed it. I would bet I would bet a lot on it. He sounds so... Cody's always Cody slips into performativity, Cody. There's just a certain cadence to it. And of late years, wasted, like that. Like, when does he ever talk like that? And he's performing. Cody, and I'm going to talk about this eventually in a podcast I'm planning. Cody is the only one in the room that doesn't realize that Cody is the worst actor in the room.
He thinks he's fantastic. He thinks he is selling it all the time.
Because he's a salesperson, and I'm sure he was, he sold that big ass Fajita Cantina sign. That's the only thing I know of for sure. But
I used to work in advertising. Cody was the exact perfect advertising salesperson. Trust me. I worked with 1,000 Codys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I am too. But I think that I feel like Cody's entire relationship with the show is when they wrap each season, he's like, God, I nailed it. Like, people are going to be like, wow, Cody is first, wow, Cody's great. Then later, wow, I get Cody now. I was too hard on him. And now he's like, they're going to see that I'm coming from the right place. And I feel like every time that, especially when they used to go online, he'd be like, what happened? What do you mean you don't like me? How can you not like me?
Yeah, he is stunned that people don't like him.
Yeah.
I'm like, have you not watched the show? Like, how can
Have
you?
you not lived your own life? Like,
Yeah,
I get that most people are not as, like, belly button contemplating self-aware as I am. Like, I
yeah,
would like a vacation from myself a lot of times because 'cause I'm tired of it. For as much energy as I put into trying to figure out myself and all of that, that's as much energy as he doesn't put into it,
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
but he thinks he does.
mm-hmm.
He's like one of the least self-aware people I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think that go ahead.
which begs the question, who the fuck showed up in those confessionals at David and Christine's wedding?
Oh, right.
I was actually, Adam, you would get this reference. I was calling him a Cylon. I'm like, this is Cylon Cody.
Mm,
I don't know who this is. This is Cody with the C. He got a PR firm. I don't know who is that.
I think he got coached.
mhm.
So then he clearly understands now there's a problem. So do we think it was Christine leaving that caused the problem, or is it all of his kids not talking to him?
I think it's potentially a threat of no more TV show.
Mm.
I
Uh-oh.
think that
Could be
would
a
be
problem.
if I'm just throwing a guess out there, I think the most
Uh-oh.
mediating factor for his behavior would be the threat of no more sister wives because you got to
Hello?
think about how
Anybody
their
here?
financial situation has
Oh,
shall
no.
we say restructured without the high tide of Mary and other wives kind of raising all boats. I think
Mm-hmm.
that likely, and I'm not saying there was a threat from the producers like you've got to get your act together, but I think there probably was
Right.
some sort of professional dark night of the soul, which happens sometimes with people where you kind of go, "Ooh, okay, I need to readdress how I'm doing this just for the stability of what I'm doing." That would be my guess because I'm not the first one to hypothesize this either by far, but I think
Right.
likely there was maybe a new PR firm or at least some sort of credentialed individual Cody would listen to that went like, "Hey, you don't want to come across as too upset about this." Or the other thing, Amy, is it might just been a matter of they caught him in the right mood on the right day. It's that could be as much as it is.
Maybe, maybe. I just I don't know. It's interesting you bring up the TV show because this reminds me of one thing that I've been wanting to ask you. During the talk back, listen back, look back, yell back, whatever it was,
Throwback,
I'm,
hatchback.
I'm under the clear impression that Robin does not want to do this TV show anymore. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, like short answer is yes, but like yes with like three asterisks. Asterisk. Holy, I talk for a living. Um,
Asterisks.
So do I.
yes
Yeah,
with
same.
Asterisks, yeah.
yes with three stars next to it. I think if Robin could have the resources without the TV show in a New York minute,
Yeah.
in a New York minute, she'd do it. I don't think
I
she
Mm.
think the
wanted to do
challenge.
those shows. I don't think she
Ooh.
wanted to look at that footage. I don't think she wanted to relive it, and I don't blame her. I'm not a Robin apologist, but good God, I wouldn't want to sit down and watch my. I can't even listen to my own podcast anymore.
Yeah.
Now that people listen to it, I used to when like I didn't have an audience because I was the audience, and it's like, look at me, I made a podcast, and now people listen to it, and I'm like, get that shit off, like I can't stand it. But I don't think she wants to do the show. No, but I think they've made kind of like their pact with the devil with it from their
Mhm.
perception is like, how do we exit this? What do we do post
I think
Sister
Cody
Wives?
wants to do it. I think Cody
I
is
do too.
pushing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cody loves it,
And I
and,
think
you know,
she is not into it.
they can't afford the $1,000,000 house without it. And then, we don't get the, little motorbikes and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's so interesting that, we talked about early on, like, the kids' dynamics and how they've changed. Like, Logan grew up in an incredibly different family than Sol and Ari.
Which
Yes. Yes.
happens
It
in
happened.
families like this. Like, I always tell the story that my husband, his older siblings are 13 and 11 years older than him and his twin. They grew up in totally different families. Even though it's the same family, it's
Mhm.
totally different families because there's just those different dynamics. And think about just the financial means that Janelle and Cody had when they had Logan versus what Saul and Ari have. I mean, it's
Right.
light
It's
years away.
mind-blowing.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't. Go ahead.
Um No, I wanted to ask you if you noticed, like, we were making jokes when Robin was sitting on that couch of, is she even alive? Is there a heat signature? Like, what is happening over there on the other side of the couch? So you think it was just a response more so to the show as well? Because I didn't know, like, what was happening there. Was she there against her will? Although if Puddle Monkey waved a $6,000 check in front of her for that day or something. Could
Hell,
TV
I'd do it
Youngman
for a
gift certificate.
$6,000 check. I've
Yeah,
got a
that's
price.
true.
It's not
That's
cheap.
true.
It's not high.
It's true.
As Cody said, you got a price and you ain't cheap.
That's right.
I know every word anyone spoke on this stupid TV show. Like, it's amazing.
Ridiculous.
Like, I can't remember my own birthday, but I can remember that stuff. I think that, okay, first of all, I have to address this because my very favorite thing that's happened in Sister Wives' years is when Cody's like boop, boop, booping around with his like cell phone footage and he's like, all right, we're going to do this. And then Robin comes into frame just full on beaker, just miserable. It's like, it's like play the Curb Your Enthusiasm music. If I was a TikTok person, which I'm not because I'm just
Yes.
so old, but I
Yeah.
would just put the Curb Your Enthusiasm music under Robin's just miserable doo-doo face
Yep.
over that. I think she was miserable. I think it was very uncomfortable. I think Robin, I don't know how to separate the fact that I'm sure cameras off, especially Robin is having to emotionally deal with things from Cody that no one deserves. Just probably brutal commentary, having to carry the weight of all the bad feelings he's feeling, whether he's blaming her or not. It's her job to constantly make him feel better. And if you've been around anyone listening to this, or the two of you, if you've been around an emotional partner that just as well as like, if you have kids or you have a career or you're just a human being, you have to be responsible for their mood 24 hours a day. It's horrible. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Because that's not your job. Like, it can't be. You know what I mean? People have to take care of themselves. And I can see Cody just, and Robin has alluded to this on the show of like, Cody is not easy to be around right now. And if she's
Oh, I'm
saying that
sure.
much, how much is going on? And I'm not alleging anything, that I can't verify, but I think we can at least agree she's having to carry the weight of his emotional burdens all the time. And so I'm sure she's like, great, this is exactly what I need. Because imagine what she's thinking once those cameras are off. What am I going to be dealing with?
How much is he going to be like a raving lunatic walking around the house, just yelling at nothing? Like, I imagine he runs around that house. Probably not as much now, but early on after Christine left or in that process,
Awful.
of just being like, fucking Christine,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
talking to nobody,
Yeah.
but just like he doesn't have an inner life, right? Like his life is just spewing out of his mouth all the time.
Right. Trying to deal with a person's emotions and manage a person's emotions is hard enough. But when
Right.
that person has zero self awareness, it's even,
Mhm.
and we have seen her try to control him, not in a bad
Mhm.
way, try to keep him on track.
I think for her own like
Several times.
preservation too. And
Yes.
Oh, I think so too.
I don't say that with judgment either. It's like, yeah, that what else are you going to do in that situation? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
It's one
post
of the only
divorce,
times I have empathy
yeah,
for Robin. But go ahead.
right.
I'm sorry.
No, post divorce, like you are a version of yourself you are never in any other situation.
For sure.
You're rebuilding, you're repairing, you're hopefully, questioning like, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be now? Who am I now? And that's like best case scenario. That's just not dealing with, what have I done? Like, what do these years of my life mean now? And you got to
Right.
come out the other end of it. And so you put that on someone like Cody, who, as I've said on my podcast, is just experiencing just absolute ego death. Like,
Yeah.
he's Cody Brown, the famous guy with the wives. Who is Cody Brown when he's the famous guy whose wives left him? Like, holy crap. Like, there's really nothing where he talks about the only thing he's afraid of is poverty. I think the only thing he's afraid of is public embarrassment.
Mm.
And imagine it as your wives are leaving you, they are on the cover of People magazine.
Celebrated.
Celebrated.
Oh, yes.
They're having parties. People are having divorce parties because they're so happy that your wives finally like broke free of your misogyny. And you're at the grocery, well, not the, I'm guessing he's at the grocery store very often, but there's Robin at the grocery store, like putting her stuff on the belt, and there's fucking Christine and David on the cover of People magazine.
And people behind her screaming, "You suck."
You suck, right?
There are Etsy stores devoted to celebrating the fact that you got left by someone.
Yesterday, hand to God, I wore my "What Does the Nanny Do" t-shirt, and I had it on under a sweatshirt all day, and I was getting ready for bed, and I took it off, and my husband goes, because I totally forgot I had it on. But it's like one of those things I could walk around in the world, and you know who your people are immediately if they understand it.
Yes. It's
And I hate that I kind of, I think Peyton was the first one to make a t-shirt out of it, so I kind of hate that. But.
Yeah. Hey everyone, stay tuned. Little Miss Recap will be right back after these words. It's so interesting. You bring up a good point. I didn't think of it this way. When you go through a divorce, you know how they're like, never, like jump right into a relationship because you're a fucking mess. If you do jump into a relationship, make sure it's with like some loser that you pick up at the bar because it's not going to really,
It's a throwaway relationship. It's a rebound.
What if you're married to that person? Like, oh my God. Like Robin's living with Cody like 24/7. Oh my God. This just occurred to me. I can't even think of what that must be like.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He's miserable.
Wow. He's miserable.
He's miserable.
Amanda, did you have another moment you wanted us to talk about? You had a few picked out.
I did. I had both of the salsa brava lunches. But we can table that for a moment because what I really want to talk about is the picnic table breakup at Coyote Pass. Where for some reason Robin had to, join in on this party. Because what everyone wants to do is to broker someone's divorce who isn't a therapist or a mediator.
Right.
You know? I think Adam's frozen
My
again.
favorite
There you are.
my favorite part is when like she gets up and like stomps out like she didn't get picked for kickball, realizes no one's coming after her, so she just comes right back like, okay, I meant to do this. Like it's like she missed a step walking up the stairs, and so she starts walking like that, like she meant to. That's kind of thing, and just does her dramatic, like as I call them, crying adjacent behaviors, and goes stomps in the prairie dog turds for a while, and then comes right back. Just tremendous.
I loved watching Christine watch that and be like, why is she there? Why is she back? Like, what is happening? Why is this person here?
She was such a surrogate for us in that moment. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, and we said there were 3 cars right there. She could have gotten any one of them and drove home.
Yep. Or walked. It's not that far.
I think because that's a behavior that she probably does a lot at home and it works.
Yeah.
What do you make of this whole idea that Robin is the Cody whisperer? Okay. Do you think that this is like we just talked about? She feels like she has to control him kind of for self-preservation, but also to preserve the image. Do we think it's born of that? Or do we think it's born of like a more nefarious reason for wanting to control him?
I think, and I'm seeing this already as I'm reviewing season 2, there's a lot of Robin already speaking for Cody going on. I think it's a complex bunch of different reasons. I think one, Robin is someone that really wants to feel important. I think Robin wants to feel vital. I think she wants to feel that things cannot function without her, and she has taken that obviously to a big extreme. I think you're right. I think she needs to know what's going on because frankly, whatever's going on, she's going to be the one that has to deal with the fallout from it. Because whatever Cody says and does, whatever the wives do to upset him, where is he going to end up for the other 95% of his day? It's going to be with Robin. And to be clear, her young children. And
yeah,
I don't want to get too much because it's hard for me to even think about because, nobody wants to think about little kids being around somebody that volatile. And I'm not making allegations, but just, the emotions that are coming out.
Yeah.
It's not going to be great. And I think that Robin, I'm sure on some level, and I think she just feels compelled to be in it. I'm glad the Cody Whisperer thing got called out because it's such crap. Like, give me a break. Like, you have spent the least amount of time not the least amount of time, the least amount of years around him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder too, like what her first marriage was like. Like I know my first marriage was very volatile. Sorry, volatile. My first
I hate when things are volatile.
Volatile. And there was a lot of screaming and there was a lot of yelling. And now, like, I do not want that in my home. It's very triggering for me. I can't have anybody raising their voices around me.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that was happening in her first marriage, and this is why she feels the need to so tightly control like what is happening in her own house, because she's very controlling with the kids too. We see this all the time, putting fucking things on the fridge and just being like,
It's
she
very
has a
common.
control issue.
It's very common when you have been in a situation. I think a lot of people can relate to this, like in a post-COVID world, when you have had your life feel really out of control for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about y'all, but especially during like lockdown and stuff, my wife and I were both just like hyper focused on like, what are the things we can control? What can we do? Because it's just like so much is out of control. And so I'm not making excuses for Robin, but I can understand again intellectually, like
Do you need the
exactly what
shame
you said.
bell? Are you getting the shame bell?
Yeah, go ahead and give it to me.
He said you
Just
have
do
Well
said
earned.
two nice things
it.
about Robin.
Shame.
Sir.
Give it
Yeah,
to
you
me.
need
Give
shame
it
for
to
that.
me.
Shame.
Yes.
Shame.
Joke's on you. I am like made of 95% shame. So like just pile it on.
No,
What do you think? I'm a therapist. Same.
I
Yeah.
do agree though. I think that I there's something in her behavior that is telling us what happened in her past. And I think that's what it is. And I know that she paints what's the ex-husband's name, Amanda?
Preston
Yeah.
David. Why can't I think of his last name all of a sudden?
Jessup.
Jessup. I know she paints him as some kind of monster, and we cannot confirm nor deny, nor do we care what he's like.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if, this is what she's trying. Like, we're seeing something was askew. We don't know whose fault it was, or, whatever.
Or what her
Something
child
was
was
up.
like. She talks about coming from a broken home and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
What I find really interesting is, who knows what happened in her past, but the way she, how do I say this? Just popped in my head and popped right back out.
The way she looks, the way she talks, the way she moves to the world, the way she holds a drink, the way all of it's
The
wrong.
way she does everything.
Okay.
It's interesting now to go back and watch her come into this family, because from day one, she
Yeah.
painted everything as being a victim.
Yeah.
100%. From the moment she was pregnant with Saul. Yeah, but she, like, it's as if she wants to be
Yeah.
the most downtrodden, the most bothered, the
That's
most.
where she feels comfortable.
It is.
Yeah.
And so it makes me wonder, like, what happened in her family of origin? Like, is that the role she played?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's what's called the victim stance. It's
Mhm.
where people are most comfortable when they are the aggrieved one. You see it early on in the I picked the dress moment, where Cody
Mhm.
reveals he picked the wedding dress, because folks, he did pick the wedding dress. They even say it in the
Of course he did.
book.
Yes, he did.
And when it's brought to her attention, not only does Robin not capitulate or apologize, she says, well, this was really upsetting for me because I didn't need you to know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she's only comfortable if someone is aggrieved and she is even adjacent to it. She cognitively, to be comfortable, has got to reframe it to where, well, I am the most hurt, or at least I am equally hurt. Because that, in essence, like, is it the most comfortable thing for like you or me? No, but it is her way of absolving herself from any wrongdoing. Because how could I apologize if I am equally or more damaged by this than you are?
We just saw her do this. We just covered
Yeah, I was
episode
just
2
gonna
on our
say.
rewatch, and Christine was upset that they kissed over the engagement,
Right?
and
Same thing. Same thing.
Robin starts to
She's like,
cry.
I'm so upset that hurt you. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
instead of saying, I am really upset that hurt you, I am so sorry. We're having a lot of this conversation in my life, but I think it's this
Yeah.
conversation that we've had as a culture for a while now, which is the impact versus
Intent.
what your intent.
Yes.
And Robin is just all about impact. All about,
Mhm.
like, it's just everything impacts her. It doesn't matter if it actually does or doesn't. She's never responsible because that wasn't what she meant to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be mad at me for punching you in the face, because I didn't mean to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
My
This is
hand
something
slipped.
this is something I say to my kid. Well, I don't say that to my kids. I say to be clear, but I'll say to my kids because they're quite small, and they'll go, "Well, I'm upset," and I'll go, "Well, it was not my intention to upset you. It's never my intention to make you upset. But let me explain to you what's happening the best I can. And if I do
Yeah.
something wrong, I'll go, you're right. I have something to apologize for. That was a mistake I made. And it's not the most comfortable thing, but I got to model this for,
Mhm.
especially. I hope nobody. I don't think your listeners will get mad at this, especially for young men. Like, it's important to teach young men, like,
Oh
you
yeah.
Yeah.
have to be you have to be accountable. You have to, people don't owe you things. People don't owe you their time. They certainly don't owe you access to their bodies. You got to teach them this stuff. And
Yep.
Yeah.
so, as nobody, I had to teach myself, and luckily I learned. But it's really important. And so that's what frustrates me so much is, to your point, Amanda, that you're making, like, you don't even have to necessarily say I was wrong. You can say, you know what, that really was not my intention. I can completely
Mhm.
understand why you're hurt by that. And that's,
Mhm.
even in and of itself, is kind of a non-apology, but you're validating. Sometimes people don't even want the apology. They just want, like, validate that I have a right to feel the way that I feel.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot of times you don't even there's nothing to even apologize for.
Right.
It's just acknowledging like, "Wow, I did not mean for that to come out
Yeah.
for you to receive that the way I sent it
That
is not at
totally
all."
sucks for you. That sucks.
Yeah.
Like, that would make me feel bad too. There
Right.
you go.
Right, right.
I want to move back to Janelle for a minute. I feel
Of course you do.
like I love Janelle. She is my queen.
Me
Um,
too.
I have
Love
Janelle
her too.
energy when she's standing there directing Christine to put together her own bookshelf. That was brilliant. But
Mhm.
I think Janelle's power came from her boys. I think once she
Yeah.
saw that her boys were like, "We're done,"
Mhm.
we're done, because I think as a parent, that's like the last thing that you have, and that's the last glimpse of Cody that she had, was that he could be a decent father to these boys, even though he really hasn't been for a very long time.
No, and and I think that's a lot speaks also to why Christine
Yeah.
talks about Cody's fathering in a very different way than Janelle. Janelle
Yes.
has mostly boys. Cody knows
Yep.
how to
Mhm,
deal with boys.
Yep. Yep.
mhm.
Christina's mostly girls. Cody doesn't know what to do with them. So he's been ignoring them for years.
Yep.
I don't think he has a tight relationship with Peyton for whatever reason. I just never got that. As opposed to Garrison and Hunter, who were athletes. Hunter was a state champion wrestler, as was Cody. Like, he could
Mhm.
like look at Hunter and be like, "Oh, you are." I, I deal with a little bit of narcissism in my life, and there's someone who will constantly say, "Oh, well, you're just like me, so
Yeah.
blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And I think Cody does that a bit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or a lot. I think it does a lot more that's ever been done to me. But once that didn't happen, and once his kids were like, "Yeah, I
Right.
don't let the sun and the moon rise and set on you anymore."
Well, and his daughters were only as good as the men they picked,
Oh, for
Correct.
right?
sure.
Like Maddie picked Caleb, and that was, Caleb was approved, and Tony
Mhm.
was not.
Tony was not.
Mhm.
Mitch, who knows?
Yeah.
Mitch doesn't talk, so I
We
mean,
don't
we
know
don't
if
really
Mitchell
know.
really exists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cody is such a clear example of someone who loves people the way that feels best for him instead of the way that people need to be loved.
Mhm.
And if he cannot feel validated and entertained or excited by the act of care for someone, he's not interested.
Mhm.
And that's horrible. Like,
Mhm.
especially as a parent. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what you sign up for. Like, you don't love your kids as long as, like, as long as it's like the most entertaining option for you to do so.
Or as long as it's easy.
Right. And so, yeah, if you can't share activities, if you can't, Gabriel's situation with the birthday and his recounting of that to the
Ugh,
camera was the closest I've ever come to going, I can't watch this anymore.
I know.
I know, it
Because
was horrible.
I
Oh.
I'm not going to bore you two or your listeners, but I have similar dynamics with my own father that, like, Gabriel and Garrison do with Cody.
Yep.
And it's a reality TV show, it's whatever, but it definitely did, like, reopen some stuff I thought
Same.
was
Yes.
good. And I I've been through it where it's like, okay, just because I don't have the same interests in you, like, I'm still your kid. Like, why don't you
Right.
care? Like, I shouldn't have to pretend to like things I don't like for you to care about me,
Right.
Amanda
And
and I
so,
were just talking about this in terms of I I'm not going to speak for you, Amanda, but I grew up in a family of very thin fit people. And we were
Yeah.
talking about how when you're the fat kid, your parent, like, you feel like your parents don't know how to love you, and it should be
yeah.
like,
Right.
you should still love me even though I'm not out
Regardless.
running on a track, or whatever, I'm not your body ideal. Like,
To
so, yeah.
to go with my hashtag current references only, I'm going to say that Stephen and Elise Keaton loved the hell out of Alex Keaton, even though he had a picture of Richard Nixon
Yes.
next to his bed,
Yes.
and his parents were like left-wing hippies.
Yes.
And they still love their kid, and even though
True.
they kind of poked at
True.
him a little bit because it's a sitcom,
Mm-hmm.
they met this kid where he was.
Mm-hmm.
They knew who he was, and they appreciated him for who he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all you can do as a parent. It's like, I'm a step parent, so I didn't get one from the ground up.
Well, you're still a
But
parent.
You're
I'm
still
still
a
a parent. I try. But I think a lot of parents, and I think Cody does this a lot, is he parents the kid he wants the kid to be,
Yeah.
not who that kid is. And McKelty can't be parented in the same way Hunter can, in the
No.
same way Logan can, in the
Well,
same way Saul can.
and these kids
That's
know that.
fine.
They know
Yeah.
that. They
Yeah.
know it. And that's, when they fall short. Yeah.
It's a horrible way as a child or even an adult child to go through life with your parents knowing if I fall or willingly step outside of these parameters, the love from my parent is probably going to be gone.
Mhm.
That is a
Yeah.
terrible thing, whether you're cognizant of it or subconscious of it. It's a terrible thing to experience. And I think so many of the Brown kids have experienced that at least from Cody, and I wouldn't be surprised if Robin is aware of that too, and that
Yeah.
probably part of why things are locked down, and because Robin has been coaching those kids from the moment she entered that rental, if not before. Who's that? Cody? No, it's Daddy. Like,
Daddy.
ooh,
Yeah.
did I ever get? I talked about it on my podcast of like,
Oh, that enraged
it
me.
just coming from a blended family, like of my growing up. Like you don't push it. That's going to happen
No.
if it's going to happen
If
ever.
it's gonna happen, it'll happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually what I was gonna say earlier, is that I find it interesting is how obsessed Cody came about how Christine and Janelle and Mary might be talking about him, and how they're trash
That
talking
was
him to the
crazy.
kids and all of that. And it's like, because the vision that he has is Robin taking her children out of their father's home and making Cody their father. So why wouldn't his other wives do that to him?
Yeah. Well, that, and how can I possibly maintain my own relationship with my kids? Like, that would take work. I would have to call
Right.
them and
Right.
talk to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
My
just,
parents have been split up since I was 4. After about the age of 10, my mother did next to nothing to facilitate my relationship with my father. And
Right,
after
you
that,
did
it was
it,
more
and
about
he did it.
logistics.
Yeah.
Right. It was,
Mhm.
yeah, the kid's free next week. You can have her. Like,
Mhm.
not if I didn't live in my dad's house, I couldn't have a relationship with
yeah.
him. I haven't lived in his house since I was 4,
So your
and I have a
mom didn't
relationship
get
with him.
remarried and then get some crazy artist to draw pictures of that guy with you as a baby?
Did not happen.
Oh,
Did not happen. All
okay.
photos of me and artistic renderings of me with my father are with my actual father
That
versus new daddy that my mother brought in.
that was so bad. Up
The
until I
look on Logan's
realized it
face.
was based
Oh
on an
god.
actual photo of Cody with Christine and her kids, and
Yeah.
then
Yep.
I think I had to go have a little lay down for a while.
And the fact that Christine, going back and rewatching, Christine's like, "Yeah, I'm just afraid of being replaced. I'm afraid of not being Cody's companion anymore." And there she is, like literally replaced
Meanwhile, Cody's at
by
Glamour Shop.
Robin
It's
in
like, can you
art.
airbrush her just the F out of this? Because like I
Right.
have made a decision. I swear to God, it's like, this can't be real. Like this
I
cannot be a
know.
real
I
thing.
It was
know.
such a Michael Scott
I
situation.
was just gonna say that, Amanda. Like this is
Uh-huh.
like The Office. Like
This is like
this
the
is
Jamaica picture.
Yes, this is exactly like the Jamaica picture. I can't wait to recap that episode because all I really remember is the look on Logan's face, like, "Oh, are you fucking
Is
kidding
this
me?
really
Like,
happening?
is this really happening right now?" Like, this like 16-year-old kid is like, "This is fucked up. Like,
Mhm.
what is happening?"
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's amazing. It's like, how can I take like a sentiment that could really resonate and really be healthy and just roll it around in dog shit? Like and then go, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. Like, I don't know.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Um,
It's so bad. Yeah.
so I have just a few more questions. I know we're nearing an hour and we're almost done, but do you think Cody and Robin will last?
Amanda?
Oh, she knows my answer. This is
I
for you.
Y'all,
I
I'm
think
the
they will
worst at
last. I
this.
don't think she's ever going to leave him.
I'm not a predictor. I'm good at certain things. I'm not good at
Right.
predicting. I never would have predicted that anybody would leave. Like, I have been humbled by this show because I didn't see Christine leaving coming, any of it. I really didn't. I think that, nothing's impossible. No, I think they're lifers. I think they're gonna be like the real life version of like the Mountain Goat song "No Children" eventually, where they're just sitting there waiting for each other to die. I
Mhm.
do. I think that I will be interested to see, you talk about ego death, when Cody no longer has the ability to have any more children for various reasons, and the children he has are older and or launched.
Mhm.
I don't know what he's gonna be. I really don't.
The
Hmm.
thing is, will Robin's children ever launch? I mean, we literally
Mm.
had a story about how a 21-year-old young woman was getting her ears pierced and needed her daddy to come into the room with her. I think she has so hobbled these children emotionally that
Yeah.
they can't
I
leave.
hate to even think about it, to be honest.
It's awful to think about. I don't
I
look, I
don't
don't
want a
like it.
show with just Cody and Robin. Let's be real
No.
clear.
I don't want a show of just Cody and Robin, and I don't want it like the new adventures of Janelle and Christine.
No,
I don't want that either.
no.
I need all of these people to
We
show
had
up on the
Christine season. We're gonna have Janelle season. We need Mary season. Well,
right.
Mary season was kind of Mary
We
doesn't
thought
get a
this was
season.
Janelle season, but it
Mary
was
doesn't
Mary's
get a
season.
season.
Mary's the one who left.
Mary, can I talk about how much, and I know Mary is Mary, and I understand people's reactions, but I love
Hard.
that Mary's life has become this eternal, like, margarita hot girl summer, just never ending, where she's just like hanging out with Jen. She's got her like Luke Combs fan boyfriend, and
Mm-hmm.
she's just like living in this haunted inn and
With a Worthy Up sweatshirt.
just hammered, decorating for Halloween all year round, just the hell with
Mm-hmm.
it. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
just like, you know what?
I'm here for it.
You want to talk about a spinoff I would watch? Like, let me just see what Mary does, because like, what is your life? Like, it's
Okay, but
incredible.
I would only need that show like one episode a month.
No,
Yeah.
I would watch it all day. I don't care. I would like,
You
remember
want
when
the
the
prison
internet
cam on Mary all
remember
the
when like
time.
the internet started and like live streaming first became a thing and you could just watch someone like type at the computer? That would be me watching Mary like make scrambled eggs at 4 p.m. because she's got nothing to do.
There you go. One of my kids told me that there's a TikToker who opens the instant bingos.
Yeah.
That's all they do on TikTok, like all day.
Oh,
That
Yeah.
would be, Mary has a career just kind of walking around the inn, sticking up fake spider webs. There you
Yeah,
go.
for real. Like, my
I'd be
wife
here
would
for
come
it.
in the room and I'd be like, "Babe, not now. Mary just figured out there's an app where you can play solitaire and win money. Okay, I have to watch this."
I'll be back in an hour. I have
Yeah.
things to do right
Put the
now.
kids to bed. I love you.
The only way that I could watch a Cody spinoff, like, or a Cody and Robin show, is if Cody goes out into the world and starts to interact, like the fourth wall's broken and he's interacting with us. And we're seeing people chasing him down at the supermarket. We're seeing people slash his tires. We're seeing people screaming at him. Like, I could
Screaming
do
across
that.
Target.
I
You're a
could do
piece of
that.
shit.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can I tell you my idea for a I just was thinking about this today. My idea for the ideal Cody Brown show would be like if you took Cody and you did like a sci-fi spinoff where Cody got to go back in time and fix his
Mm.
mistakes, and in every single version of his life, Cody still gets divorced by 3 women. Like, he just can't.
It's like Groundhog Day. He
Yeah, like,
can't fix
no
it no
matter
matter
what,
what
he
happens.
changes. He's like, "I'm gonna be the most involved dad. I'm gonna like," and then they still divorce because he just can't not be garbage like that. That I would watch. That
Well,
would be
that
it.
just happened on Star Trek Discovery. I'm watching the first season. That just happened. With what's his name's on it? Rainn Wilson's on it.
Oh, well, so
Yes.
now we've come full circle with The
Yes.
Office,
Yes.
and you're in
Yeah.
And
Scranton.
I'm in
It's all clear.
Scranton. Yep, there we go. All
It's
right.
all
Any
clear.
other closing thoughts? Anything we didn't cover?
I
Just
mean, we didn't cover 18.7 seasons, but that's okay.
I have a quick
We
question.
can do this all night.
I have a quick question.
Oh, hit me.
Why? This is for Adam.
Oh,
Why
okay.
does Cody drink hot water?
Jesus Christ, I didn't go to that much college. Like,
I'm telling you, it's some like weird like training metabolism thing that he thinks if he drinks warm water.
The best
I don't
part
know.
of the fight, in my opinion, is when he slugs that hot tap water and then he goes after Janelle.
when I watch him squeezing like 500 lemons into a glass of water, I just want like John Cena to run in and hit him with a steel chair. Like something happened because I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. My honest reaction, Amy, is I swear to God, I think this man is like a human Labrador. Like I don't think he's a person. Like I think he just no, he probably watched a TikTok and was like, "You'll lose 20 pounds if you drink hot water." And Cody's like, "I'm a critical thinker." It's like, yeah, it's like that kind of thing, you know?
I loved
Yeah.
when Gwen was rewatching, and it was one of the scenes at Salsa or Fat Olives, I think, where she's doing all the lemons and all of that. And Gwen's like, "Oh God, him with those damn lemons." Like, first of all, we all have that moment about our parents. They
No, for
start
real.
doing something, and you're like,
Yes.
"Oh God, here we go again.
You
This
mean
is the
like my
thing Mom
mother
does."
texting me right now as I'm on air, giving me blow by blow detail about King Charles being in the hospital? Yeah, I know all about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know this
Yeah.
is coming. It's
Mhm.
like, "Ugh, here we are
Yep,
again."
yep. Gotta
Yeah.
like just shut it off. Shut the phone right off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when my mom texts me in the middle of the day and it just says, "You know who I always liked was that Breckenmeyer." It's like we all do, Mom. No kidding. Like, welcome to America. He's a treasure. Okay, he's
I
adorable. Thank you so
I like
much.
when my dad calls me in the middle of work day. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Working? Like, what do you want? What do you think is happening right now?"
My mom will text me the latest in any crime too that's happening. You
There
know,
you go.
oh, I think
There
this
you go.
crime is happening. You know, this person did it. Blah blah blah. Break in this
Uh,
case.
I was
So
gonna say, Amy, is she causing it? Like,
she's not
Oh my
causing
God,
it.
what if your mother's like one of those serial killers who causes mayhem so she can talk about it?
Feel like she's not gonna put in that much effort.
She got some real Janelle energy.
Janelle
She's not
energy.
doing it.
All right, Adam, please remind everybody where they can find you.
sure. So my podcast is called The Sister Wives Professor. That's it. No, I know I'm also on Patreon at patreon.com/ the Sister Wives Professor, where I do like deep dives on specific like Sister Wives minutia. I just did, as of this recording, I just did one where I'm doing the first of a series where I use a little bit of academic theory, but kind of track like Robin's evolution within the family and her victim stance and a lot of the stuff I talked about in this podcast. But I also am covering Welcome to Plathville and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which I'm just tremendous. Just I have no experience with this and I am not a yum yucker. I love all this stuff. It is so fun. And
Mhm.
so but yeah, just the Sister Wives Professor on all your streaming platforms. I would love if people would give it a shot, but it would be remiss if I didn't say I am a huge fan of this podcast. Thank you both for having me on. It was really special for me. Really, as a fan, it's so surreal to be talking to you. So thank you.
We're big
We
fans of yours,
did.
and we're so
Yeah.
thrilled that you're here. And we are going to have to talk Plathville at some point because I went on a real journey.
Oh,
Because I'm married to I am married to Ethan Plath. My husband loves cars, can't talk to anybody, like just is Ethan Plath. And I do think Ethan Plath was at a crossroads and he could
yeah.
have went this way and he chose this way.
I'm only 2 episodes in, so right now
Get ready.
he's just this lovable guy throwing paper airplanes
Get
off the
ready.
barn roof right now. I'm not ready though. I'm
Get
not
ready.
he's
No,
so
no,
he's
no.
like
It's a journey.
No,
It's a
I'm
journey.
not spoiling anything for you. He just comes to a crossroads and I don't feel
yeah,
like he made the right choice. But
Yeah.
I bet he didn't. I bet
he
he did.
I
stays a
think
lovable character for a very long time.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
loved him and Olivia, and I always
Well,
defended him, and everybody came at me for
Yeah,
it.
well,
and we
you
are
know,
hardcore Olivia stans on this show.
I
So
Yes, we
love her.
are.
once you get
She has such
further in,
steel in her backbone. I am so impressed by her already.
I
Yep.
love
But
her
yeah,
so much.
but to coin a phrase, no doubt about it, I am ready to get hurt again. So let's do it.
All right, Adam, thank you. And everybody else, thank you for listening and jump into our Facebook group where we'll talk about this episode, I'm sure.
I'm sure we will. Thanks, Adam, so
Thanks,
much. It was great
Amanda.
to have
Thanks,
you.
Adam.
Thank you.
Shut it off.